So it is day 2 of my official juice fast. It's been tough. Yesterday was tough. It was very tough. I'm not gonna lie, I caved like a little bit, had some crackers because I had to work last night and I was extremely nauseous. And I told myself with this fast, I'm not gonna let myself get really, really sick. Like, I felt nauseous. I felt like I was gonna vomit. So I was like, I will let myself have some crackers. So, I mean, granted, I haven't been solid juice, and some people are going to be like, oh, it's faking, you're cheating. But you know what? I'm still mostly liquid. Yeah, yesterday, I ended up getting a hellacious headache and feeling really, really nauseous. And that's actually a thing that my body naturally does if I don't get enough food. Plus, I wasn't drinking enough. I think that a lot of it was in the days prior, I had been making smoothies. I had been making like a really big smoothie every day. And so my body was used to getting this huge intake of like a fruit. So it might have been a certain type of withdrawal. So yeah, day 2 though, starting off good though. Starting off good. I noticed yesterday I was already like sick of the taste of juice and sick of, just the taste of everything already, which is never a good sign. So I think today I'm gonna make some tea. I mean, I really, really, really want to snack. Like, oh my God, I want to snack so bad. Like, junk food snack. And I was like, should I have some coffee? No, I don't want to get back into the coffee swing right now. But I can look through my teas and do a tea. I have a lot of teas, so I'll see if I can find something that might work. I'll probably put honey in it. I don't think, I mean, unless I do a chai, I might not put milk in them. I don't want to put milk in it. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see as it goes. I'm not letting myself get like really, really, really like hung up on the rigidness of my juice fast or my liquid fast or whatever I want to call this at the moment. I'm just calling it a fast or juice fast, but though I am having water, yeah. I don't know if I can talk about that topic because it's not rolling through my head. I had been having these thoughts about meat and the interestingness of eating meat and the preparation of meat and the use of animals. Oh, you know what? Yes, I guess I do have it in me. So within the past month, since January and this fasting and everything, I've been kind of accepting the fact of in witchcraft, there are different types of spell work that does involve animal parts. And when I was very, 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 very early on in my path, when I was first learning, we're talking like 14, 15, 16 years ago, you'd see a lot of people are like, oh, witches don't sacrifice animals. They don't have anything to do with that. And there is this big separation of like, that's bad, don't do that, that doesn't exist. And I had to come to terms over the years that, this sort of thing does exist. And there's going to be people who will read some ridiculous book that actually isn't based on any real practice at all, just something some author made up in their head. And some people will do what they see in those novels, those fictitious novels, thinking it's real. That was a really weird understanding when there are people who actually do that. And I mean, I don't like it, and it's, misinformation, but that's a reality for some people. And I've been, with the fast and the not consuming meat, and being a person who does, like, when I stop fasting, I'm eventually going to go back to eating meat again. It was just really making me think about the different aspects of animals, of death, I've been kind of forcing myself to look at different, I'm just going to say pagan traditions, particularly like voodoo and Santeria and a little bit of hoodoo, like looking at those again, because in our society, they have a bad rap because of misinformation. And a lot of people, like when I would tell them, that I'm pagan or I do witchcraft, they're like, oh, you don't do voodoo. And that's like the automatic response I've had from a lot of people, like, oh, voodoo scares me. And as much as I would like to not be like, fall under that category, in some ways I did, because as horrible as it sounds, like my automatic brain response was chicken parts. That's a horrible, horrible, horrible response to have when you think of voodoo, when it's not that at all, And I had to re-look at, I don't know a great deal about it. It's not what I practice, but I just wanted to learn about it a little bit more, just to be able to respect it, to be able to understand it. And where I'm at, the person I'm at in my community is I try to be open-minded. And I try to be educational. So if I have people, and I do have random people who are not pagan, people who are Christian, who will come to me and ask me about things, I want to be able to at least give a respectful answer when it comes to voodoo and take the sting off of it. Because I had to look at it this way, me, even in my own practice, like, I use dead things. And it's like one of those things where I always have, I always have, but not in like ways that I thought of as bad. Like, I always bury dead bugs in my houseplants. I bury dead birds in my big potted plants on my porch. I've seen like dead baby birds in the street in front of my house, and I'm like, oh, poor thing. And I will just like dig in. I have like big planters in front of my house, and I'll just dig in the dirt and plant the dead bird in there, and there we go. And I feel like that is respectful for the animal, but it also helps my plants, and I feel like there's a certain element of magic to it. And in some ways, I have to view that some of the practices that people do are no different than that. Recently had a person follow me on Instagram, and they're from somewhere in Africa. I'm not really sure where in Africa. And I don't know what that particular person practices, but he obviously was using dogs in his rituals. And there are some people who would automatically see that, and they would be like, oh my god, animal abuse, oh my god, this. And I'm just kind of like, that is a completely different country from where I'm at, completely different culture, a completely different system of belief. And I just kind of had to take it in a different sort of stance. Do I agree with that? Would I use a dog in the ritual? I don't think so. Hi. But it was forcing me to, popcorn. Popcorn was forcing me to just see things in a slightly different light, Yeah, it's just interesting. Made me also, I've also been, I'm recording, don't you touch that button. It was making me think of when I was in Sunday school. One of our Sunday school lessons were about the offerings. Because before Jesus, in the Old Testament, people would give burnt offerings of their animals, of their produce, of their goods. And I remember the Sunday school lesson was about how during that time there was controversy, say you sacrificed a lamb and you burnt it. So essentially you're cooking meat. And the question was it respectful or disrespectful to consume the meat that was burnt? I'm recording.
I want to press the button.
When I'm done, you can, but I'm not done yet. Okay? But the question was it respectful or was it respectful or disrespectful to consume the food that was put out as offering to God? It's very interesting.
Exploded.
We're not talking about things exploding. Mommy's going to go into a different room because you're distracting me. And in recent times, I've been learning a little bit more about Hecate and offerings. The one in particular was I was in a community and someone was asking about whether you have to give food offerings to gods and goddesses, and why do you do that? And there was many different reasons given, but the one that stuck out to me was leaving an offering maybe for a god or goddess, but then it being consumed by someone who needed it. And this particular statement was made into reference of Hecate. So it's just an interesting way of viewing meat. This is me thinking of offerings and using animals, consuming animals. It was just interesting. As I said, I'm not vegetarian. I'm not vegan. I've never really had a desire to be. I also was a kid that I always knew where meat came from. I actually, on both sides, my family, I didn't, because by the time I was born, my dad and my mom, they didn't have livestock. They didn't have things that they killed and cooked for us. But they both came from families who did that because of just practicality, and for also income. Particularly on my dad's side, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, she raised rabbits. So my dad grew up learning how to butcher rabbits, skin and butcher rabbits, and they sold the meat, and that was part of their income. And it's very interesting because when we got our pet bunny, my oldest son, he just went up to the rabbit and picked her up by the scruff of her neck, by the skin, how if you've had years of butchering rabbits or raising rabbits, that's how people just pick them up. And this child had never seen that before, and I'm just holy crap, you can tell he's got rabbit butchering blood in him. Just picking up the rabbit, just whoop. So I've always known where meat came from. And I even remember as a kid watching some kind of show somewhere, and basically I just remember seeing baby chicks on a conveyor belt. And I don't remember what it was on, but I knew it was part of the food industry. Now, I don't remember if they were sorting the chicks to then be shipped out to different farms or what they were doing. But it was an interesting image that stuck in my head that linked the whole factory farming kind of thing. And for me, I always make sure my children kind of know where their food comes from. One time we were playing at one of our relatives' houses. They up in the mountains. They have property, and say excuse me, you gross little child. Say excuse me.
I can say excuse you.
I'm not the one that burped. You did, but we were. Playing, we were visiting a family member, and one of them had shot a deer and was skinning the deer and, cleaning it up and cutting it up. And the relative who was doing that was fine with the kids being there. He was like, "Oh, it's no big deal." And so I let my boys watch, and I thought that was actually very, very good for them to see, firsthand what goes into it. They eat meat. Granted, it was a deer. They hadn't eaten deer meat, but they've eaten beef. And that's the same concept, They got to see him skin it, cut it apart, take all the organs out. And my 6-year-old was naming the organs. Like, he knew what the organs were. I was just like, I didn't even know he knew what the internal organs looked like. So, it's just an interesting dynamic of facing the situation of eating meat. And some people need to, and some people have no problem with it. I honestly have no moral issue with eating animals. I don't. And some people might think that's like really, really horrible. Like, how can you have no problems with eating animals? I don't. I don't believe in wasting. And I don't agree with the factory farming and the mistreatment of animals and turning the animals into a commodity, basically, that's mass produced and genetically modified to the point that only certain parts of them grow more, this is not the jungle. I need to read that book. That was about the meatpacking industry during the early 1900s. I need to read that. I haven't read that yet. That's on my book list. It falls under the same category as like George Orwell's 1984 and Walden, which I still haven't gotten through yet. I'm still trying to get through that one, and some of the classic literature. I don't know. Those are some of my thoughts. It's day 2 of the official fast. We'll see how it goes. I might pull out the juicer. I have a watermelon that needs to get used, so I might juice the rest of that. Because I'd gotten some Blue Machine Naked Juice, and as much as I like Naked Juice, that stuff is intense. It's really intense. But yeah, time for me to go be mom. Okay, I don't know if anything I rambled about made any sense to you guys, but yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I kind of dig this vlog thing, so let's see if I can keep up with it. Alright.